Currently at Battersea Park. My name's Josh, and I'm a head of development and work in London.
It's at the weekend, Tadcaster 10 mile,
Yeah,
and it's now Wednesday. So you just got a session, or
I've just got a small session, nothing too serious. 10 times, 1 minute on off. So yeah, we'll get that done.
right? Enjoy, rather you than me, mate. It's absolutely freezing.
God, it is nippy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's freezing.
Trying to do my laces up and my hands are. Right, all right.
Enjoy, mate.
Yeah, I've always done sports all the way through school, and that was always like the thing that I really most enjoyed. Wouldn't say that I wasn't academics, just I didn't really try that much with it. I always look forward to being able to get out to either initially play rugby or do cross country or something, and cricket in summer and things like as I was growing up. But sports always plays like a key part in the life. It's been there in some way, but it's then dropped off in periods of time as it can do, and then it's kind of found itself again more recently. A lot of my friendships definitely were through sport. It was initially through like the local rugby club or cricket club in places, especially through school even. I mean, especially like I guess growing up, we all kind of looked forward to being able to play the rugby match of the weekend or a cricket game, and yeah, that was the thing that we all spoke about, or who was playing football at the weekend or whatever. But sport's always been like there in the background for the social side of things. So left school, didn't really know what to do for myself, and spent a short period of time in the military, and then unfortunately got injured, so I had to leave, and then kind of fell out of doing sport for a good chunk of time, primarily off the back of being injured, and then over time, then I started getting into a bit of a hole with unfortunately with drinking. And I'm a recovering alcoholic, so sport completely took a back burner, or went on the back burner for quite some time. But there was a period where I knew I wanted to get back into it, but I was in such a low point with my life that I just didn't really know how, which sounds a bit silly to say, but it was almost as though I was completely lost from it. So for me, like, becoming an alcoholic feels like a funny thing to say, but I'd say fundamentally I became one probably because I think in some way it was always just going to happen. I probably got an addicted personality, and alcohol just seemed to be the thing that then took me down this path. But if I was to really analyse it, I probably didn't feel right all the way through school in some way. Didn't feel as though sometimes that I necessarily fit in with stuff, especially through teenage years. And then in my early 20s, started to drink more often, and then it became more of a problem as time went on with that. It wasn't as though it was like a particular date where I was like, oh, this is where I think I became an alcoholic, but where it probably just kept on, the spiral started to happen. Initially, it was probably something that where I was just enjoying drinking with my friends, and that's actually, we all just got drunk at times, and like typically you would potentially either at university or as a older teenager or a young 20-year-old or something. But as time went on, life just became more unmanageable with it, and it started to affect like my work, my personal life, in terms of relationships, of friendships that I had, and it kind of came apparent then where it's like common denominator here really throughout this is every time I have a drink, there's life doesn't go to plan really. I was living in a flat in Camden, and I can remember sitting there and almost kind of thinking to myself, oh, this is it now. I've got to sort of resign myself to the fact of that my mental health is in a really bad place. I wasn't able to leave the flat without having a drink. I was just so socially anxious. I almost felt as though I needed that to kind of take the edge off just getting out the door. Even just to go to probably buy more alcohol, even it felt as though I was almost having a panic attack in just terms of being able to leave, just to go and do the thing that was fueling my problem in the first place. But there was definitely periods of time there where I was sat thinking, yeah, this is it. I've crossed the line now. But it's not as though that it even stopped there. It continued for a number of years after that. And that spiral. So it wasn't as though it was a quick spiral of then fast forward 2 months later and I'm in rehab or something. This is a few years down the line, and my life's still just becoming more and more dysfunctional. Family members are having to help out in terms of like financially help me, and it gets to the point of there where you're kind of just going from job to job or friendship group to friendship group, because you've almost lost your true friends from that, and you become a very different person from who you started out with as potentially as a young teenager, or even that potentially 20-year-old or something, that when you then fast forward a few more years, you feel like a very, very different person. You've lost your identity. For me, my wake-up call to being able to like kind of get back into sport was I was living in Hackney. I stumbled out my door one day. I can't remember if I was drinking or not at the time, but I remember seeing the Hackney Half go past. But I was in a phase of life where I actually kind of resented everyone that was keeping fit and going to the gym or anything like that, purely because I just felt jealous that I was no longer doing anything like that. There was probably something inside of me that knew that that was the thing that I used to really enjoy. It was my release as a teenager, being able to get out for a run at school, either with a group of people or by myself. So to see people jogging past and me thinking, oh, this is on my doorstep, and I definitely know that I'm not able to do this, when I used to know that I could run home from like a night out or something, felt as though I was so far removed from the person that I used to be. And then a couple of years afterwards, my dad mentioned that he was going to be doing it. My dad used to run as well, so it was this thing that we had in common. And I decided I'll join him. And perfectly timed helicopter to start through. Carrots, chin up. I knew my dad was going to be doing it, so I thought I'll join in and see what I can do. I got out to do a couple of training runs, and I absolutely hated it. It was like obviously starting from scratch again, so mentally that was wouldn't say a worse rock bottom than drinking, but it was not a good place to be in, because I knew that there was to be able to survive the half was just going to be hellish. But instead of doing any more than those 2 training runs, I thought I'll just go and do it, and hopefully just walk, run it, and make it round. There was a really nice moment when I was doing it where my dad passed me, which he'll still hold over me to this day. And he put his hand on my back and sort of like asked if I was all right. And that's always been like the way of my family. If there's never been any of ill feelings towards like how I probably was during those years. So that small gesture was definitely how I felt throughout that whole period of time when they were probably pulling their hair out of me. So we both completed it. It took me 2 hours and 24 minutes, which feels like a very long time to be out there. And yeah, it was. I swore afterwards that I would never do it again. Why would I put myself through that pain just for the sake of it? But yeah, the sort of bug was found again, and a couple of years later, in fact, not even a couple of years later, it was the following year, I thought, right, we'll kickstart something again, some form of fitness, and my partner and I decided we'd start running. Throughout the training runs, I think I just hated it, because I was back to suffering. It was back to square one again. But I think it was the mental side of it more than anything. I'd gone from being able to run quite well as a younger person to then feeling like I could literally just shuffle along, and everything was just super hard. I had no feeling of excitement or even accomplishment from it. It was very much just finishing those and thinking, this is going to be such a task that I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it on. Running then became a backbone of my sobriety, basically, and I don't really class it as, so even though I still think of myself as a recovering alcoholic, there's an element of it where it feels like quite a while ago now. So it's but running is the thing that I turn to on a daily basis to feel better, to be able to decompress from work or family life, and be able to just have that moment to myself to be able, like to think things through. So the idea of doing events or like a half again or any sort of distance event for that matter, to me is just like a fun thing to do. Really, it's the me going for a training run on any day of the week is just the thing that I like to do to feel good. Member of City of York, and it's been great to join a club. I moved from London up there, and immediately knew that like just joining the running club was potentially going to create a social group that I didn't have previously in the years that I was in London, or a very different group of friends basically. You've immediately got an affiliation with some people that there's something in common to be able to talk about. And obviously everyone likes to talk about, every runner likes to talk about their own running for a bit. So it's brilliant to be able to go to a completely new place, feel welcomed, and just be able to meet a range of people of all abilities. Yeah, I think anyone who's struggling with the mental health is that know that you're not alone with it. There's lots of places to be able to turn to. I myself have used a number of different places like AA or Mind to go to on mindfulness courses, and just there are ways to feel better, and you're not alone with it. There's loads of people when I run with them or start talking about how my experience with it, will talk not necessarily about themselves having an addiction or something, just that they feel a bit crap about something or they don't feel too good about something, and whether it's work or family life or any sort of mental health problem really, they'll be able to, and I think running gives you that space to be able to think about it as you're talking. So if you're out for a run with someone, you don't always immediately have to answer the question they've just asked you. You're almost sort of both shuffling along and getting your breath part of the way. So it really gives you that time to share stuff with people that you wouldn't necessarily if in any other social situation.